I hate the gods. I hate their endless cycle. Heroes being raised up to slay villains in their name, all the while growing stronger at the worship of the foolish mortals that abide their will. I will see it all put to a glorious ending. I will break the cycle by becoming the final villain. A villain that cannot lose.
His name was Zeelik Halfheart. He was young, he was wild, and he had an insatiable curiosity for death and what happens after we die. He sought at a very young age to discover the great answers no one was able to find before him, and he was willing to go to great lengths to attain it. By the time this goblin became old and frail, he had yet to find those answers he sought. He delved through the weave, pored through books and scrolls, and even made unsightly pacts for even a clue. But still the answers evaded him. He couldn't let go. Refusing to let his life end on such a note, the wizard delved into the darker arts of prolonging one's own life. The goblin would begin to clone himself, dozens upon dozens of times. With each life, this necromancer became more unhinged, aloof, debased, but more importantly, determined to find the truths of the material plane and beyond. It would be on one fateful day that he would be given the one final clue he needed. The goblin's lair would be visited by a paladin wielding the holy words of his deity to his heart, and determined to stop this goblin from causing more chaos than he already has in his many lifetimes spent sacrificing and antagonizing the people of the realm. It was in this single moment, being confronted for the first time by this lofty hero, that the necromancer had found his first answer. It wasn't within the weave or his books, it was with the gods. He would begin to bolster himself and study the realm for patterns, what plans the god had for its people. It wasn't long before the goblin found what he was looking for. The endless cycle. The pattern in which gods would raise up heroes to slay and beat the villains, restore the status quo, and retain their power over the mortal kind while bolstering their faith. That is when he realized that mankind had been played by the fool since the very beginning. It wouldn't be long before the gods caught up to this grand scheme of Zeelik Halfheart's. They did as he already predicted, and as proven by the endless cycle. They sent heroes to destroy him. In return, the necromancer goblin did the unthinkable, and slayed his first god. The weave unraveled as a vacuum filled the empty throne of a vacant god in the pantheon. The cycle had cracked, and the remaining gods had to devise a plan to fight back. Death could not stop this goblin now, but that didn't make him immortal. So the gods devised one final hero of their own creation, one of joy and one of innocence. When the necromancer was slain and his soul began to transfer into his next body, the gods placed a spirit within the countless vats of clones, acting as a plug against the goblin's return, and in turn, giving birth to a new being, a new goblin. Gob the Goblin. Bursting out of a mud vat on the outskirts of town, a lone goblin found himself lost and confused, wielding only a book and the clothes on his back. It is here that this goblin would begin his journey of discovery. It wouldn't be long into his quest that he would find one of his first friends, a fellow goblin and a lich of some renown. This goblin saw the untapped potential within this unassuming goblin's eyes, and granted him a home, far away in an abandoned wizard's tower overlooking a river valley. As to not intrude on this lich's domain of the dead, Gob sought to find his own magic, his own mark in the magical weave. There, while in the local marketplace, he would come across a delicious treat, and an inspiration struck this goblin's eyes. Cookies! Making haste back home, the goblin began fast at work into his magical studies and his budding passion of the culinary arts. Before long, the bakery was in full swing. Goblins and orcs, demons and devils, kaiju and dinos alike would be given a delectable sample of Gob's scrumptious creations. The melding of a tasty treat and the dark arts would give birth to Gob's specialty, cookie-mancy, which had but one simple philosophy:
spreading joy through the power of sweets.
And in that moment between the hustle and bustle of his new life, Gob felt something he had never felt in quite some time. Gob felt a sense of belonging, a sense of community, a purpose he finally found. Gob was happy.
Now, it's time to return what rightfully belongs to me.